What is peak fiction? It is definitely a subjective answer that everyone is basically going to have a different answer to. Some people will say Attack on Titan, some will say Berserk. Someone will say like a movie or a video game. But in my opinion, I think a good piece of peak fiction to me is the first half of One Piece called Pre-Time Skip, Volume 1 up to Volume 59. I think it is genuinely one of the best adventure stories told, and I just have a lot of thoughts and views about like the whole Pre-Time Skip adventure. And that's basically what these sets of video are. I guess this is going to be a video series where I'm going to talk about the big story sagas of Pre-Time Skip One Piece. So East Blue, Alabasta, Skypiea, Water 7, the Marineford War from like Sabaody to Marineford, post-war, all that. So I think that's going to make for some interesting videos. So for this one, we're going to start at the very beginning in the East Blue. So despite how crazy that One Piece does get later on with like hockey, insane devil fruits, like legendary pirates clashing, emperors of the sea and whatnot, the new world, One Piece actually did have a pretty humbling beginning with Luffy in the barrel. You know, Luffy, he set sailed when he turned 18 or 16, I don't remember. But Luffy, he was a kid. He got inspired by Shanks to become a pirate. Not gonna go too much into it because I'm sure everyone knows the story of Luffy and Shanks at this point. You know, it's pretty good. The whole like opening is pretty good with Luffy and Shanks. I would say it's definitely a good like starting chapter to the series. So Luffy sets sails. He gets stuck in a barrel. He sets sail on like a little dinghy. He gets sucked into like a whirlpool, ends up in a barrel, and gets fished out by Kobe, who is working under the pirate captain Alvida, who is like this big, nasty pirate. She's a menace in like the East Blue waters. She definitely ain't a menace anymore. You know, Luffy and Kobe meet. It's pretty like straightforward. Kobe's like the shy, quiet, like nervous type, while Luffy's like the loud and proud, extravagant type. So Luffy, he beats up Alvida's crew and her. He sends her flying off her ship. And Kobe's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll come with you, sure. I want to become a Marine. They exchange goals. Luffy wants to become king of the pirates, obviously, and Kobe wants to become a Marine. So they set sail for the nearby island. So after sailing from Alvida's ship, Luffy and Kobe, they set sail to this island. From my research, I don't think this name has an island. It is just called, they just refer it to as Naval Base Town. So they get there. They hear rumors about the pirate hunter Zoro, and they go to see him. Zoro's hitting his menacing pose, very cool, very, very aura, as they say. So they kind of just watch him for a bit. You know, Zoro smiles. He's like, hey, come untie me. I've been here for 9 days. I'm getting tired of it. And eventually, like, this little girl, she comes. And she's like, here, Mr. Zoro, I made you some rice cakes. And he's like, oh, no, I don't want that shit. And the captain's son of the island, Homepo, he comes and he's like, I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, it's just for like, he's cartoonishly evil, like he's just cartoonishly mean to the kid. He like crushes her rice cakes, throws her over the wall and whatnot. So Luffy jumps the wall to go talk to Zoro. and he's like, hey, I'm looking for good men to join my crew. And I will give this about Luffy. Luffy, I might not be the biggest fan of Luffy. Like, I might not think he's that good of an MC. But Luffy does have, like, he has a good ability to read people. And I do think Zoro is a good person. It's just, he just doesn't express himself. Like, deep down under all that, like, he's still, like, a good dude. Like, even when her rice cakes get crushed, he, like, makes Luffy feed it to him. And he's like, oh, dude, tell her I said it was good. Yeah. So they go back, they talk with the girl, they meet Helmeppo again. And I think it's at this point Luffy's like, alright, I've had enough of this, I'm gonna go free Zoro. He goes to free him, they get caught by the Marines. They meet the captain of the town, Captain Morgan. Not really anything of note about Captain Morgan, other than just Luffy and Zoro, like, almost low diffing him, basically. And Zoro officially joins the crew, and they set sail, but before they do, Kobe requests to join the Marines on this island, and he does. And Luffy and Kobe, they make a promise to each other. He'll be like, let's meet again one day. Yay! One Piece has a lot of shit like that. So Luffy and Zoro, they start sailing. And they get to the next island is Orange Town, which is a town that is being ruled by the Buggy Pirates. In my opinion, one of One Piece's better antagonists, because Buggy is the GOAT, undoubtedly. And it's also on this island that they meet the crew's soon-to-be navigator, Nami, who is the GOAT. Nami is pretty cool. Especially pre-time skip Nami. I really liked her design before they really, like, over-sexualized her in almost every outfit she would later get in post-time skip, but it's whatever. So they start, like, fighting the Buggy Pirates. It's like, oh wait, no, before that, they meet, Shushu. This is one of the saddest backstories in the series, and this is a series known for its sad backstories. But Shushu is a dog that is based off of the real dog, Hachiko. And if you don't know the story of Hachiko, Hachiko is a dog that sat at a train station and waited for his owner, and the owner just never returned, unfortunately. So with Shushu, his owner died running a pet store, and Shushu died, like, well, he's not dead or he doesn't die. He kind of just waits outside the shop waiting for his owner to return. And this leads to the Buggy Pirates, like, messing with Shushu. Like, it's Richie the Lion Tamer who, like, beats him up a little bit. Luffy sees this, Luffy with Nami, they see this, they're like, whoa, no, that's not good. And they try to stop him, they get captured. Luffy's put in, like, a cage, while Nami is, like, pretending to be with the Buggy Pirates, because she had stolen a map to the Grit line from them, and Buggy wants it back. But she plays it off like she didn't steal it. What else? Some stuff happens, like I said, like I usually do with these videos. I don't want to spoil everything, because I do want some people to, like, go experience the things I talk about. So I'm obviously not going to talk about every little detail. I mean, if it's not obvious already, I'm talking about the manga, not the anime. I'm not really a big fan of the anime for One Piece. I think it's really poopy at times, and I think the manga is much better. So, eventually Zoro meets up with them. He saves Luffy and Nami. He aura farms a bit, gets stabbed by Buggy in the back, and takes, like, a pretty big wound. He saves them, and then they later find Shushu with the pet shop, like, on fire, and it burns down completely, except for, like, one box of treats. And Luffy seeing that, he's like, oh, hell no. So him, Nami, and Zoro, they go fight the Buggy Pirates. Nami's not really a fighter, she's just kind of just there for support. Zoro fights the Buggy Pirate swordman, Kabaji. I don't remember his gimmick. All I remember is that he rides like a unicycle, and Luffy fights Buggy in like one of the most comedic fights in the verse. I think like they win because Nami like kicks him in the balls and stuns him, and Luffy like knocks him away. Yeah, that's really it for the Orangetown arc. They save the people who live there. Like, they help the mayor because there's like a mayor side character that's like asking for help from them. So they go to the next island. The next island is Syrup Village. This is what a lot of people consider to be one of the worser arcs. I know worse is not a word, but this is like one of the more least favorited arcs on like all the spectrum. I don't think that, but I can definitely see why people dislike it, but I don't think it's the worst. So in this arc, the crew are looking for an actual pirate ship, and they stop by this island, and they meet Usopp, who is like a lie teller. His whole story is based off like the boy who cried wolf and whatnot. They made the Usopp Pirates, which is like 3 little kids. They kind of take a liking to Usopp, as they kind of like follow him a little bit to meet Kaya. And it's revealed that Usopp goes to see her like every day because she's really sick and bedridden and can't really do much. So his stories to her really help her out. Catching Usopp is Kaya's butler, Clawhador. He doesn't like Usopp. He thinks his lies are bad. They get in a scruffle. They fight a little bit. And after that fight, Usopp storms off, and Luffy's like, "Oh, let me go talk to him." So him and Luffy go off. They talk on the beach a little bit. And there they see something strange happening on the beach. They see this character named the Django, who like hypnotizes himself a lot, but he also hypnotizes Luffy to just fall off the mountain they were sitting on. But he's like, it's cartoony. He's perfectly fine. And Usopp's like, oh, and he's like listening to the Django, and he's like, oh shit, the butler is a pirate. I gotta go tell everybody. And he starts running around the island like, oh my god, Clawhador's a pirate. Pirates are invading. But like I said, his whole like character arc in this arc is like the boy who cried wolf. So absolutely no one believes him. And everyone's like, oh, Usopp, shut up. There's not pirates. Go away. And he's like, but there really is. And the Straw Hats, they all meet back up on the beach to get Luffy. The 3 Straw Hats obviously believe in Usopp, and they get ready to fight. Because the plan for the evil pirates, the Black Cat pirates, they're gonna storm the beach at like early morning. So the crew, they like set up this plan to stop them. They like coat the land with like syrup, like a hill, and it's revealed that they were at the wrong like coast the whole time. Zoro gets stuck in the trap. Usopp and Nami run to the battlefield. I think Luffy also goes, but he gets lost. So Nami and Usopp, they get there. Usopp has his trying to solo moment. He gets destroyed. Luffy and Zoro eventually arrive. They fight the Black Cat pirates. The butler's name is Koro. He's the captain of the Black Cat pirates. The arc just continues. There's a lot of fighting. Usopp runs off to the Django goes off to kill Kaya, ordered to him by Koro. The Django leaves. Usopp goes after him. Usopp defeats the Django. Nami doesn't really get fights because, like I said, she's not really a fighter until post time skip. Zoro defeats the Meow Band brothers, and Luffy defeats Koro. And the day is saved, the island's saved. So they talk with Kai a little bit now that the big fight's over, and it's revealed that Koro, as the butler, has been putting things in her food and drinks to make her sick. So she's gonna start feeling better soon. And it's revealed that Kai is like pretty rich, so she gets them a ship, which is the Going Merry, and the Going Merry is goated. We all love the Going Merry around here. And Usopp joins the crew as the marksman or the sniper, whichever one you want to do. He uses a slingshot, by the way, if you didn't know. So the next arc, this is an interesting one. Well, actually, not really an arc, but I guess I should mention the Island of Rare Animals. It's like a one chapter like thing where the crew just like stop at an island and meet this guy named Gaimon, who's like this really old guy who's stuck in a chest. You know, it's goofy, but it's like the good goofy. Like, this is what I like about One Piece. Like, I like the nonsense, like the cartoonish nonsense sometimes. I don't like it when it's done too much, but I like stuff like this where it's just like, it feels like an actual group of friends sailing the seas and like stopping at random islands and like meeting new people, going on adventures. But the next actual arc, this is what a lot of people consider to be one of the best arcs in One Piece. I also see a lot that this is when people say they locked in on One Piece. Like, this is like what sold them. For me personally, not. But the next arc is the Baratier. The Baratier is not an island. It's a big boat that is a restaurant, and it just sails around. It's pretty popular. And here they meet Sanji, who is soon to be the cook of the Straw Hats. And with Sanji, I think, now I'm not a big fan of Sanji. I think out of everyone, he is my second least favorite Straw Hat in total. I just don't really like him, but I did like Sanji when he was first introduced. I think Sanji after the East Blue Saga just falls off mainly. But anyway, that's something for completely different. So they meet Sanji. They meet some cooks on the crew or on the Baratier. They meet Zev. And there's also two other chefs named Patty and like Carney, I think. Uh, they get into some hijinks on the Baratier. Luffy accidentally shoots like a cannon at the Baratier and is forced to like do work around there, like wash dishes and whatnot. Until one day, a man who's like starving, dehydrated, he like walks in. His name is Geen. And basically they're told, oh, you don't get any money, we can't feed you. And Sanji feeds him anyway. It's a very nice, wholesome moment. Geen's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. He's eating. Yeah, it's pretty wholesome until Don Krieg arrives. Captain of the Krieg Pirates, Don Krieg arrives. He's got his big old fleet. He's looking to feed his armada of like 1,000 men. They just got back from the Grand Line. They got absolutely destroyed. And he basically tells them, Baratier, you're either going to feed me and my men, or we're going to have a big old fight. And it turns out to be a big old fight. But before the fighting can truly commence, the reason that the Krieg Pirates left the Grand Line so soon arrives. It is Mihawk, the greatest swordsman in the verse. And Zoro's goal is to become the world's greatest swordsman. And they fight. I think this is probably the best fight in East Blue. Maybe one of the best just pre-time skip in general. But it's pretty good. Mihawk pulls out like this like really small knife and he fights Zoro with it. Zoro like genuinely struggling with it. And eventually Zoro takes a heavy blow. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. During this arc, they meet Johnny and Yosaku, and yeah, it's like some bounty hunting friends of Zoro. They call him like Big Bro. There's not really much about them, unfortunately. I actually kind of like them a little bit. So they take Zoro out. man, we got to get Big Brother Zoro out of here. And so at this point in time, Nami has stolen the Mary. Usopp, Johnny, they're like, oh shit, Zoro is like really bad, like he cannot stay here. And eventually, it's Luffy and Sanji versus the Krieg Pirates. Gin doesn't really do much fighting because he doesn't want to like fight Sanji. Sanji fights the vice captain. I don't know if it's the vice captain, but it's like one of the big men on Krieg's crew. His name's Pearl. Really not much to say about him. He's kind of just another one-off, like, minor villain. Luffy defeats Krieg. Krieg might not be like a big villain, but I do kind of like him a little bit, as Krieg has like this thing where he fights with like technology. Like, he uses like guns and gas, and I think that's pretty cool actually for a One Piece villain. What else? I mean, I think that's really it. Not much to talk about. Sanji has his farewell. Oh, Sanji's backstory. Sanji's backstory is a big part of the Baratie. Basically, what it does, it's pretty sad. This is another pretty sad backstory. Sanji was like working as like a young chef on a dining ship or whatever, like a cruise. It gets attacked by pirates. He meets Zeph. They fall into the ocean and they wash up on this rock together. Zeph gives him like some food and he's like, here, this has to last you until we get help. And Zeph takes the treasure. He gives Sanji the food. And one day Sanji's like, oh my god, I'm starving. I'm gonna go kill him and eat him. So he goes to kill him and eat him. And he sees that Zeph ate his own leg because he had gave Sanji like all the food. And he's like, well, why didn't you eat what's in here? And he goes like rip open the bag of treasure thinking it was food and sees that it was treasure. And they kind of have like a moment. Zeph is basically like Sanji's adopted father. Yeah, then we go to the next arc, Arlong Park. Kind of like what I said about Baratie, like how Baratie is the arc that sells people on One Piece. Arlong Park, in my opinion, did that for me. I think Arlong Park is just the better arc in general. I think the fights are more interesting. I think the villain's more interesting. The setting's more interesting. But I'm not trying to diss on the Baratie. So Nami goes to Arlong Park. Usopp finds her. And he sees that like Nami has been working under Arlong, who the Arlong pirates, everybody on this crew is a fishman, which at this time they were stated to be 10 times stronger than a normal human. So Usopp seeing that, absolutely flabbergasted. Nami's like, oh, I don't wanna work with you anymore, and she like fake kills him. What she does, because the fishmen catch Usopp and Arlong tells Nami to kill him. So what she does is she stabs him, but like it makes it look like she stabbed him, but in reality she stabbed her hand and pushed him into a pool. Usopp goes back and relays this message to like the whole crew. We see more of Nami. She goes to her home, like her childhood home. She has a sister named Nojiko. Nojiko is her sister. And it's revealed that Nami has been sailing around trying to save up 100,000 berries so she can buy the island from Arlong. And she's basically got the 100k. Until Arlong catches word of it and basically tells a corrupted Marine captain about this, and he's basically paying off this Marine to like steal it. So this Marine captain steals it, and Nami's like very heartbroken about it. Eventually the whole crew reunites, like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp. And we probably get one of the best scenes in the whole series.
俺の宝物に触るな。
ルフィ。
行くぞ。
Just the walk to Arlong Park, it's so peak. So the crew, they get to Arlong Park. And this is what I like about One Piece. I like how One Piece structures its fights, where it's usually like one by one. So the first fight we have, it's Usopp versus a fishman named like Chew, who's basically like his whole fighting style is like spitting water bullets. It's a pretty interesting fight. It's like gag. When you like Usopp and when you're doing Usopp stuff, you kind of just have to get used to gags. There's Sanji versus Kurobi, who is a fishman karate master. There's Zoro versus Hachi, who is a octopus fishman who's also a swordsman, and he also claims to be the second best swordsman from Fishman Island. And then we have Luffy versus Arlong. Luffy versus Arlong is actually a pretty good fight. I really like it. I like how crazy it gets. And the fight ends with Luffy taking down Arlong and destroying like Arlong's like home base. And yeah, the day is saved. Nami is saved. Everyone lives happily ever after. You know, big party. There's usually a big party after every big arc in One Piece. They set sail. Nami's backstory is also pretty sad. Forgot to mention that. Nami's backstory is like probably one of the first backstories in the series that like I genuinely liked, really liked. So what had happened? Nami was an orphan and her sister. They were orphans found by a marine named Belle Maria, and she adopted them. And basically, like, she raised them for like a good like few years until one day the Arlong pirates show up, and they're like going around the island. This is like when they were first taking over. He's like taxing everyone. It's like 50,000. It's 50,000 berry a person, and if you can't pay that, you die. So Belle Maria is given the option. She can either lie about having kids and just pay her 50k, or like tell the truth, like I have kids, I need to pay 100. You know, there's like a guy there. It's like a police officer of the island. He's like, please, Belle Maria, lie. You don't have children. You don't have children. And she's like, oh, I do have children now. And Arlong kills her, like in front of her kids and whatnot, just to go to show how bad of a guy Arlong was. But anyway, enough with that dark gloomy stuff. Let's get back to the high P One Piece. Next, and this is the last arc of the East Blue, Logtown. I also like Logtown as well. This is the town of the beginning and the end. It is where the Pirate King Goldie Roger from, and it was also where he was executed. Not really much to say about this arc. It's mainly just the crew going shopping a little bit. Buggy and Alvida return in this arc, so that's pretty cool. I like when One Piece brings back older characters. And two big characters that get introduced in this arc is Smoker and Toshigi. He is a marine captain who has a devil fruit named, it's the Smoke fruit. It's the first Logia where, it's like a Logia fruit where he can become intangible like smoke. Oh yeah, another thing, when Alvida returns, she's also a lot different because she has the slip fruit, which makes, she has zero friction on her body basically. And I think like the reason was that she's so skinny now is because like the fat just slipped off. Another thing I also forgot to mention, Buggy has the chop fruit, but I'm assuming everyone who's watching this video knows. Yeah. Zoro gets a new sword. That's a cursed sword. Ooh. Luffy almost gets executed. They run away. Smoker catches Luffy, but is stopped by this man named Dragon. And Luffy and crew, they get away, and they start sailing for the Grand Line. They go up Reverse Mountain, which we'll talk about in the next video. But I just want to give my general thoughts about the East Blue before the video ends. So the East Blue, in my opinion, was a very good start. It's chapters 1 through 100. It ends on chapter 100, and I really like that. But I think the East Blue is pretty good. It's a humble start for a grand adventure. I like a good bit of the Straw Hats at this time. I like Luffy, I like Zoro, Nami. Zoro and Nami would probably be my two favorites of the East Blue crew. Especially Zoro around this time, because pre-time skip Zoro, he wasn't like the aura farmer he is today. He's basically like this is like in this point of One Piece, Zoro was like laughing, having fun. He was included on gags that weren't like just Sanji stuff. That's another thing. Him and Sanji in the East Blue, they didn't really fight. Like they barely ever interacted, I think. Yeah, I really like everybody. There's not really an arc I dislike in the East Blue. I mean, Syrup Village was a little boring, but I still wouldn't consider it like my least favorite arc in the whole series. But I think the East Blue did a really good job setting up the story of One Piece. I think it did a good job introducing the Straw Hats, the main crew. I think it does piracy pretty good. The bounty system is pretty cool. Some of the Marines are pretty cool, like Smokers. Smokers, like one of the goated Marines. It does a good job on showing that some Marines are good, but while some are like really corrupted, like Captain Morgan and Captain Nezumi, who was the Marine that worked with Arlong. I think in total the East Blue was a good saga. It's a worthwhile read if you want like just a good adventure story. But I think that's gonna be it for this video. I think this video is already gonna be longer than what I wanted it to be. Basically, I like all pre-time skip One Piece, and if you want to see another video like this, where I cover Alabasta, be sure to comment about it and like. I don't know if we will beat this like goal, because this is the first time I am gonna like a video. If this video gets 5 likes, I'll make a follow-up to this video talking about the Alabasta saga, which is going to be a lot more interesting because the crew is going to be in the Grand Line. And I think once the crew hits the Grand Line, the story picks up like a lot more. So if you like this video, like it. If you want to see more like this, like it. Comment what you think about the East Blue. Comment like what's your favorite character or arc, or what your least favorite moment was. And we'll see you all in the next one.